Okay, Irene, Gabriel, all yours.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes,
What is
perfectly.
Figma? Okay, so, well, hello. This is Irene. Today we are going to talk about Figma, what it is. We will try to figure out the best practices to work with other designers and with other developers. To start with, I'm going to talk about what it is, what Figma is. It's an application to design interfaces that runs in the browser. Today is probably one of the best applications for collaborative team design projects. As we said, Figma works in the browser, but it also has its desktop versions for Windows and Mac, which I particularly recommend when working for both designers and developers, because the experience is much better than using it online. Well, as Figma runs online within the app, giving it some of its greatest strengths. One of them is that Figma enables real-time collaboration. So all members of a team can log in and make changes to a design at the same time. So this way you won't have to worry about the team members are out of sync, or you won't need to share files to transfer between team members from any third-party storage platform. And a good thing is that in case of losing connectivity, you can continue working on any document that you have already opened. Another very important point is the component libraries. Today, we are not going to talk a lot about that, but it's really important to mention it. Figma allows you to create libraries of reusable components that are the entire team has access to. So if you make any change, it will impact in all the designs that are using it. And last but not least, probably this is the main point of this talk, is prototypes and coding. To create prototypes, you can make connections and design flows to simulate how the user would navigate through that interface. So for the coding phase, Figma can generate SVG, CSS, iOS, or Android codes. So let's talk about that. Gabi will show you how is the layout of Figma. So probably he wants to share his screen.
Well, hi everyone, Gabriel here. Gabriel, Gabriel, Gabi, whatever you want. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so I will give you a little walkthrough about the basic layout of Figma. So this is the entry screen. When you open a new document in Figma, this is what you will be seeing, and it's divided in four big areas. Let's say the first one is this gray area here, which is your canvas, where you will put everything you will design, your screens, your buttons, your images, everything you want. In the left, you have this white space where it functions like an index of all the things that you will be putting in this canvas. So, for example, if I draw, like, say, a rectangle, immediately it will be showing in this part of the screen. No. The other big area is this black bar on the upside of the screen, which allows you to create everything that you will be using to manufacture your design. So, for example, this first button, if you click here, it will show you a list of the possible screen that you may want to work on. So for example, if you're creating like, let's say, a mobile application or a mobile screen, you can just select one of those, let's say the iPhone 11 Pro Max, and it will automatically create the screen that uses the resolution of that device. So and like I said, at the moment that I create this, let's say this canvas, it will appear here in my index of elements that I am using to. So for example, let's say I want to move this rectangle inside this screen. I just put inside this screen, and immediately in this area, it will reflect the changes that this rectangle is nested inside this screen. And last but not least, the right side of your screen in Figma will show the characteristics of any element that you put inside. So for example, if I put this rectangle here, in this side of the screen, it will show me all the things that I can change in this element. So for example, if I want to change the color, here is the place where I can do that. And it works with any kind of element you want to use. So for example, if you put a text and you write like, for example, new labs, then automatically if you select this text, here in the right side of the screen will appear all the parameters that you can use or you can change about these individual elements. It works also on your, let's say, on the canvas that you use for your application. For example, it works for any element. It works with photography. Sorry, it works with text, with anything that you want to put inside this design. You can change individually here in this side of the bar. So the biggest asset that Figma have, and the biggest offer that it have maybe is the creation of component. What is a component? It's likely the same that developers use in the design system that they consume, for example. So let's say I want to make a button. So for example, I will create this rectangle. Let's say I want my button to be a red one. And let's say I want to put the word button inside my rectangle. So I can just write the amount. I can edit here. I want to a little bigger. So I want it in white, so it can match the color inside the. So it can contrast with the button, and I can automatically center it. So let's say I want to use this button in a big design with a lot of screens. What I can do is select both of these elements, the text and the button, and I go up here at this button, which is like the main button of the program, which is create component. When you create a component, automatically it changes this the color of the element to purple. You can see it here too, and it has the same icon that I click upside here, so you can know this is a component. So let's say this is a master component. So for example, if I want to copy it and replicate it, it will create more components that is based on the original. So let's say this is the original, and you can identify it by the dots that have right at the side of the name of the component. And their childs will have the same like form that this have, but it's not filled. It's just the let's say the stroke of the form. So for example, if I select my main component and I want to change the color of it, and I don't want to do the same thing, sorry, with all the other buttons, I just select my master component and I go through their edit, and as you can see, all the buttons that are the child of this master component will change. So this is basically how the strength of this program show off. It's because it allows you basically to create a big design library or a design system that will work nicely with all the design that you have, and you can even use it in different files of Figmas, just calling the original library. So this is a very powerful, let's say, tool to create and escalate a design system. That's with the basics. I will let Irene continue with the rest of the next topic. So if she wants to share her screen.
Okay. So, well, as Gabi introduced, I will move on to best practices for to work with developers. And we will talk about how to work collaboratively with other members of your team. Today I bring some of the main points I consider to take in mind that will help you to work. First of all is naming styles. We have here different components that can be not only for colors, but also for typographies, sizings. For example, here, as Gabriel mentioned, we have different components with different colors. Here, I think that it's really important to talk with the team and choose a naming the way that you want to name the different styles. In my case, I like to use custom properties in CSS like this, so I name the colors in the same way. And if I want to make a little change because I don't like this blue, I can just make a little change, and this will impact in the whole design. So if you are clear, and this is really important, you must be clear at the moment of naming the text styles and be consistent around your design. You probably will avoid having problems of misunderstandings and working on something that probably it wasn't supposed to be like that. Another important thing that you have to pay attention is helper components for redlining. Although Figma has some features for that, it's better if you, as I said, you try to be clear and add notes and comments. You see here, you can add some comments about doubts you have. If I add a comment here, probably Gabriel will receive an email informing that I make a question or made, I don't know, a note, I add a note, and that help a lot. Then clearly indicate what is ready for development. Some teams has their own icon libraries and their own ways to say, okay, this is ready to be coded. You probably here can add a page that which name is ready for coding, and this way, again, you avoid that. I don't know, someone coding something that isn't ready or has to be reviewed and things like that. That probably are it's better if we avoid them. And moving forward collaboratively, this is like a global idea, but it's really important because, and this way, I think that these points are useful not only for working with other developers, but also for working with UX writers, UI, sorry, user experience designers, UI designers, etc. Because if we speak a lot, we ask a lot, and you let the other person know that you are able to ask, to answer questions and to help them, the work with probably would be much more better and successful. So having those points in mind, Figma has a lot of plugins that you can use as notepads, icons, images, etc. I don't know if Gabriel wants to mention or add something about that.
No.
Okay, so probably you can share your screen and show them how Inspect works for developers.
Yeah.
Figma.
Yeah. So let's say we have this design ready based on our components library. It's a landing page, and let's say we want our developers to take a look of the file and try to find their components. So one of the things that Figma can do is that you can share your file through this button up here, and you can send invite to everyone that you want to be involved in the work. So, for example, I send myself an email, and as you can see, the permission that I have it's that I can view the design. I can edit the design. So, for example, let's say I am the developers who want to explore the file. And I received the mail. When I enter through the mail or through the invitation, I can see the file completely. So I can see, for example, the base design. You can see that my another account is there. So you can see that a lot of people can work here collaboratively. And let's say I want to inspect some elements. Let's say I want to know the properties of this button. So if I select any of the elements of the layout, I can move it, I can edit, but I can select, and in the right side of the screen, it will show some information, and this information is it's very useful for developers because it shows you, for example, the CSS code of any element that I can select. So, for example, if I select this button of the header, it will show me the kind of font, the weight, the style, the size, and the colors, and it will show me the CSS code that will work perfectly to transition to a developer. So in this way, any developer can inspect every element. It can do it directly, let's say, on the design, or it can inspect directly on the components library, and it will show them exactly what they want to see, which is the CSS properties. It also gives you some kind of other additional elements that would show more specifics to the developer. So let's say, for example, I want to use this this button as a SVG file to use in my program. So, for example, I can select the button. I go to this tab, which is Export, and I can choose what kind of exportation I have. The great thing about this is that you can choose the file format. So, for example, if I have some icons that I want to use, I can just select in SVG, I can export, and voila, I have my company. Let's say we are using this kind of this photography, which is not a vector, and I select them. I go to export, and I can see here that it shows me the name of the component, and it shows me this little icon, which means this is a photo. It's not a vector element. And when I want to export, I choose PNG, and the thing here is, for example, we are designing in screen that have a certain resolution, but I need the photography to be exported in bigger size so I can use it freely and don't lose, for example, the resolution. So here, this side of the exportation, I can choose how bigger I want, how much bigger I want this photo. So, for example, if I put here 2x and export, it will give me a PNG, considering that this PNG or this element is 50x50 pixel size. If I inspect this element that I just exported, it will show me that is in 100 for 100 pixels. So this kind of element is great because you can share almost everything in your file, independent of the kind of file it is. So, for example, if it doesn't matter if it's HVG or it's a PNG or APG or JPG, sorry. It will export the element as you want.
Okay.
Another thing that is important with this kind of program, and another opportunity that you have, is that you can prototype. What is prototype? The idea of prototyping is that you can show the functioning of any kind of element that you have, or any kind of design that you have, without the time-consuming program that you have. So, for example, if I want to make a button that scroll directly to another point of my design, you can prototype that interaction. If I may click outside this box or this screen in the black side, it will show me what element of my prototype is active. So, for example, in this prototype, it's showing me that the service button is the only one which is a prototype. The other ones are not prototype. So, for example, if I do click here in services, it will show me a little animation. This work with a lot of things. So, for example, I want a carousel to be prototype, so I can show to the developer how I want to my design works. I can prototype this, and I can show you how it's animated. So the big strength of this program is that it's a collaborative tool that could make the developers to work very easily with it, and you can prototype and you can show exactly how you want your design to work to the developer. So it's not necessary that he are wondering how you want to work, so you can show it directly. Figma, or like his competitors like Adobe XD or let's say Sketch, it's a little behind on this, especially on this side of the prototyping, but soon they will be adding, like any software, scalable software, they will be adding some better prototyping options. So, for example, you can prototype, let's say, the hover effect of a button. So let's say, sorry, it's here. I'm sorry, these features are not active right now, so I just can show you, let's say, through a video. I lost it, sorry. Sorry, here. So you can see how you can prototype another additional elements like the hover side, and this is the basic structure of how you can animate any element inside your design. So it's a very useful tool to show everyone, not just the developers. It's a useful tool to show the range of the project to someone who will pay for it, for example. So if you don't have the knowledge or the time to directly program an interaction of your design, you can show a prototype and you can basically sell a project like that.
Yeah, you can show it to the client, for example.
Yeah.
Exactly. Cool. Another thing that we want to mention is we know that, for example, the tool Miro is really popular at present, but in the I think that next year Figma now is developing a tool which name is Figmasham that has a similar behavior of Miro. And well, now it's beta, in the beta version, but probably in the future we can arrange a talk about that, because now it's developing, but it's another great feature that Figma is preparing. So, well, I think that we finish. We will. We want to know if does anybody has any question or want to talk about something in particular.
Awesome stuff. Do you have any questions for them?
Emmanuel is raising his hand, I think.
Go for it, Emmanuel.
Yes, hello. Sorry the question, but I have only one. Is for that Gabriel said at the end, is from the prototyping thing in Figma. I understand that Figma is not very extensive, I guess, in the prototyping thing, but I want to know if other tool as like Adobe XD or Sketch, like you said, has a better prototyping thing. What is the? I mean, I want to know if I don't know if you use it Adobe XD,
Yeah,
or something like that. What is the advantage then in using Figma instead of Adobe XD? If Adobe XD has, for example, that advantage in the prototype in the prototype process. I don't know if exists another advantage that Adobe XD haven't in another part of the process. Sorry.
Yeah, no, don't worry. Yeah, the thing is that these two programs are actually competing with each other on the release of new updates regarding to prototype. So let's say Adobe XD is for now better to prototype because they released the same kind of options with prototyping before Figma, because Figma is like it's working on another kind of feature like Figmasham, which is integrated Miro, basically. So let's say in a month or two, maybe the Figma will have the same status regarding prototyping that Adobe XD have now. That's the principal difference right now.
Something that I think that Figma, a reason why I think that Figma is much better than XD is that Figma allows you to work in the real with your teams in real time. So yeah, exactly. As Juan Cruz says, Figma is like allows you to work with other easier. You don't need to share the file. You can just share the link, and anybody with the permissions can edit the file.
Yeah,
I don't know if
Figma is a cloud-based solution. Adobe is a local file solution, so you don't have to have any file or any component inside your computer. It just upload to the cloud, and you can work from there. So for now, Figma have the edge because there is no person that work on a design alone. Due to the complexity of the projects that of design projects that are today in the industry. So Adobe XD it's a great tool. It's very smooth. It's very good at prototyping, but it doesn't quite solution. It doesn't give a solution to the work, to the teamwork. So that's basically why Figma it's like winning this race for now.
I don't know.
And like I said, yeah.
Emmanuel, did you understand?
Yes, I understand your point.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay. No,
Thank
I
you.
wasn't sure if we were clear talking about
No,
that.
I understand. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes. But Figma has some bugs too. Sometimes you lost like the connection, but it's worked pretty well. I didn't have big problems using Figma, and I remember having some bugs using XD, so that's a good point too. Anyone?
Do you have other questions? Other hands raised? I asked one in the meantime. What do you think? Like we were talking with Irene and Gabriel before, like about what are like how to identify the source of truth when the designers are working with and creating the components, and later we start to do the design system, for example, like with a framework like React. So we start to have also like all the components and at the same, let's say, at the same level of detail. So this is, I think, a discussion to have like in a team, because what they were saying was like at the beginning is quite clear because there is nothing. So they can give you a landing, and they can not only give you a landing, but already identifying some of the components. So you can they already can communicate with you at that level, and that's awesome. But once the pendulum move towards having a complete design system, later, like even doing a sketch maybe is easier directly in the design system because it's that already have all the functionality, for example, that you can show to a client already the buttons working and everything. So I think that's an interesting discussion to have. I don't know if Irene and Gabriel want to comment something about that.
Well, as you said, probably at the first time when you start the process of creating a new design system, the source of truth is on Figma or Sketch or the tool that you choose. But then in my opinion, it's like a collaborative process, and you might have a back and forth with the designs and the the designers and developers, and it's I think that the most important thing is just to be really clear. Just like I mentioned, for example, this is done and you can code it. And then if we have some fixes, probably it's better to do that in the code that is already done. But as you said, probably it's a conversation. Anyone can share, point up your ideas. I don't know.
Yeah. For example, the thing with Figma is that they're offering a solution which integrate a lot of things that in the past were doing separately. So, for example, if I have a design system made in Sketch, that's the design's source of truth, sort of. And if I want to translate to development useful consumables, for example, I have to use Zeppelin, which is another tool, which transform like this design system to something that can be codified. So, and additional to that, a lot of work is like here on Trainer, for example, it's done on Miro, and that's another tool. So so Figma it's trying to integrate all that kind of stuff just in one place. So it doesn't matter if you are like in your house or whatever you are, you can access to all the libraries and you can access to all the components and you can access to all the work just in one place. So that's why Figma is it's like a great option, and it's taking like the industry right by storm, because it offers so much collaborative options that all the other software doesn't offer. So I would say that that's the primary advantage that Figma, and that's where they aiming for.
Nice. Yeah, I wonder if at one point you could. No, I don't know if you can do it right now or later. Maybe they will allow to actually like in a per component basis start to pick. Like let's say like okay, this component is ready in the design system in like I don't know, React or Vue or whatever. Okay, I want to use that one in Figma. So
Exactly.
like you start like directly like you show like moving the components, but it's the real component. So Figma can like it's web based, so it can show the real thing. It can show that when you click it does something, and it could kind of start to like you can start to share that source of truth between the two places. Like that will be nice.
Yeah, you don't have to have like a lot of software or a lot of links. It's just one link where everything is inside. So it's very useful in that domain.
Yeah. Do we have other questions?
Other questions?
I don't know if Emmanuel is raising again or is it just
no, sorry. I forgot. Sorry.
No, not a problem. Maybe it would be good to hear like from like the developers that have received before some like Figma files to work. Like how was that experience? Like it was clear what to do, like or do you have to communicate a lot with the designers that did the files? You did it directly in the collaborative tool or like outside, like in a Slack channel or something? Like do you have any experiences with that? Nobody working with Figma. Yeah.
So the first week that Irene joined the new, she designed the new application we were developing, the Mappy. That is an API that you will going to be able to like, map or JSONs and whatever. And yeah, she designed it, and I joined that kind of dashboard, and it was pretty easy, right, to select the elements, and maybe the most awesome thing that I saw, it was that I didn't have I didn't have to ask her for the species, because I could like download them directly from the dashboard. So yeah, that was awesome. I'm always bothering Francisco to get those species on InVision. That is the tool that we use in PayPal actually.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Figma is actually great.
And how was the experience of using the inspect part of site that Figma has? Did you use it?
Yeah, to check font sizes and maybe colors. Yeah, that is actually a great advantage. Yeah.
Cool.
I want to share another thing that it's very important to understand how big Figma can be. It's that they're constantly, as this is a software, they are constantly updating it. So, for example, right now they are working on. A few years ago, they were working on the possibility to export like the components that you create in Figma to React, for example. So this is a very powerful tool. It's a plugin that you can install from the plugin menu, and that this is how far Figma can reach on this thinking about collaborative work. So this is something that Adobe XD don't have, for example, and they are not planning to give it to. As my understanding goes, the only other let's say software that it's trying to compete with Figma in this collaborative concept, it's UXPin, but the big let's say business advantage like Figma give to or take from UXPin was to offer the majority of their functionalities for free. So, for example, if I want to create a library, a public library, so I have, let's say, a lot of files grabbed into one design system, you actually have to pay to create that. But if one of your team members, for let's say, have the paid version, or they can create this library, and you, independent that you don't have the paid version of Figma, you can use that library. So, like in their business decision, let's say, they always have this opportunity to people to test their product. So that's that's one of the reasons that why this software is so scalable. So yeah, that's what I want to say.
Okay.
I don't know, Sergio, did you wanted to say something?
No, I was going to share, at least from my short experience with Dim Sum at the LMA, the handoff is pretty painful because designers work on Sketch, and we're not even using Inspect or InVision for that matter. So it's really painful, and it's been discussed how to improve the design flow and handoff to engineering. Figma is on the table and definitely will be a lifesaver and time saver if they decide to go that route, because today they have to create the design and then they create what they call the artwork with all the references to padding, spacing, fonts, colors, opacity, all these attributes. They do it by hand, adding references to the design, and they export that as a PNG image. So it's pretty painful. So any piece of information, you need to go back to the designers and ask. So definitely adding a tool like Figma, or at least use InVision Spec, will definitely help. But as it was mentioned here, Figma is like the all-in-one for UX, and will improve definitely the handoff to engineering.
Cool.
So today it's pretty painful. Just Sketch and PNG files.
Yeah, I think so. Having to work with tools that don't, don't allow you to represent the workflow or the interactions could be a little, as you say, painful, because you have to explain it or to represent it with several assets, so could be messy, I think.
Yeah, and it's error prone, and it takes a really long time for the designers to do all these call outs and all these references by hand.
Yeah. Thank you. To bring it.
Somebody else wants to chip in? Okay. If not, we continue. Sorry.
Yeah, I would like to say to Sergio that maybe if he has some kind of space to conversate with the designers, there are some tools around the internet that can allow you to turn the sketch files to Figma. So it would be, I think, very helpful to you.
Yeah, absolutely. That will smooth the transition, maybe.
Yep.
Nice. Thanks, new Juan Cruz.
Never mind. Thanks.
Okay, so let's continue by chatting then, and like we have all the people from UX, and they're in the UI UX channel or the CSS channel. So
I will send you some links that we use to prepare this talk. Probably if you want to look it with more details.
Nice. Okay. Thanks, Irene. Thanks, Gabriel. Thanks a lot. And thanks, everybody, for joining. And see you next week again.
Thank you a lot.
Thank you.
See you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.